Alcatraz Island is kind of weird. First European discovery of Alcatraz was done by the Spanish in 1775, in which they named it Alcatraz Island. Alcatraz in ye olde Spanish means pelican. Now, pelicans now in Spanish is pelicano. It really didn't start seeing use until California declared its independence, joined the United States, and was bought by the U.S. military to be used as a military defensive fortification. Started out, they just built a lighthouse there, but then they built a fort. They continued adding on to it, especially once the U.S. Civil War started, and then they captured some Confederate soldiers. And I believe besides the minor people in a jailhouse, this is the first time they started holding prisoners in any real numbers. Besides the fact that it's most famous for being a prison, it was only a prison for a really short period of time after they stopped making it a military facility. Switched it over to being a federal prison, and it was only a federal prison for about 29 years. You'd think, oh, this is a really great prison because it's on an island. It must be really hard to escape from. But there was actually a lot of escapes. They put a lot of really dangerous people in there. But then also in World War I, any conscientious objectors, they would just arrest them and shove them into Alcatraz, along with a lot of other prisons. Thanks, Woodrow Wilson. But it didn't actually last very long as a prison because it wasn't a very big facility. It was actually in the middle of nowhere. You had to bring in everything from water to food to all kinds of stuff. And it was just a big hassle. And then they built a much larger prison nearby that could hold a lot more people. And it just didn't make sense to keep this thing going anymore. At one point, a bunch of Native Americans in the 70s took it over and held it for almost 2 years, burned down a couple buildings. Eventually became a National Historic Landmark, and you can go and visit there today. If you're going to go to San Francisco, you should definitely go.